Welcome to Bronze and Modern Gods. I'm John.
I'm Richard.
Hey, everybody. A fun show today. It's all Star Wars-y. Richard's excited. I'm going to sit back and listen and maybe learn along with some of you. But we've got much more than Star Wars. We have our underrated books of the week. We've got viewer mail for all of you. And we have our hot book of the week. Richard, it's a tie.
It is a tie.
Is this the first time we've had a tie for the hot book of the week, I think?
I think so, yeah.
All right. Well, I can start us off. The first book, I mean, just undeniable. Whatever you think of it, you can't deny this was the hot book of the week, or one of two of them. Spider-Man #7. The first appearance of Spider-Boy. I bought this book, Richard. Do you know why I bought it?
No.
Because everybody was talking about it, and I thought, I'm going to pick this up. I saw it on the shelf. There were copies left at my LCS. I tried to read it. I have no idea what the hell is going on in this book. What is the concept of this book? It's called Spider-Man. I didn't see Spider-Man in it anywhere. It's a bunch of multiverse Spider-Men and women and dinosaurs and Transformers and raccoons and ocelots with spider costumes. They're making references to things that must have happened in the past in this title that is completely incomprehensible to a new reader. It's pretty, it's nice to look at. It's written by Dan Slott. I don't know what it is. It says Spider-Man on the cover. This is not Spider-Man.
I did not pick that up. Is it we've got Edge, or the Spider-Verse movie coming out later this year. So you think it's a tie into that?
I guess. I don't know. There's someone. I'm old. Hold my hand. Help me here.
Give him his readers. What is the purpose?
Why can't we get new readers in comics? Textbook example right here.
So what is the importance of this book?
Well, Dan Slott was tweeting away and said he's been saying this issue is the first appearance of a character who will be, quote, significant, unquote. So here we are. Spider-Boy is introduced in this issue. You and I and all the people from the 90s remember Spider-Boy as part of the Amalgam universe.
Right.
Yeah, that's the real Spider-Boy as far as I'm concerned. That made sense. There are 4 different versions of this cover. Oh, wait, check that. There are 5 different versions of this cover.
Of course.
Got the A cover by the great Mark Bagley. That's going for about $10 to $20 already. This book came out Wednesday, please note. There's a variant cover by an artist called Carlos Gomez. That's going for around $12 to $20. That's got Spider-Man and the Spider Transformer behind him, I guess. I don't know. It's a robot. Sure. You've got the Alex Ross Timeless variant with Doc Ock. That's going for about $5. That seems to be the big loser here. You've got the 1 in 100 Alex Ross Timeless Black and White variant. That's about $100. And then there's the money shot, the top secret variant cover featuring Spider-Boy. Ooh, look at his tennis shoes. This is the one people are going nuts for. We're now seeing sales up to $65 on eBay. This was not limited. This is not a ratio variant. This was open to order. And a second print has already been announced with a few more different Spider-Boy covers to come.
Buyer beware on this. This smells a lot like the Venom craze, where we had every issue of Venom is going to be the hot issue. You got to pick it up, buy multiple copies. I was
there.
Think about this. Is this character going to be something, or this book going to be something in a year?
It's the fear of missing FOMO, fear of missing Miles. Out, I guess everybody wants to find the new Miles, and maybe Spider-Boy becomes something. I don't know. What did you think of the trailer, by the way, of the Spider-Verse trailer?
I thought the trailer is great. It set up tension, which you have to have for a successful Spider-Man movie. You've got to have that tension, and it's there. It looks like it's going to be Miles against the other Spider people, and it was great. The first trailer was great. This one is great. I am really, really looking forward to this movie.
I was glad to see Mayday Parker, even though she was, a toddler. I want to see Spider-Girl. if we're going to go into the boy and girl spider characters. I'm ranting about this book because it's less about the concept, although I do have issues with the whole Spider Verse, whatever. Talk about watering down a character. Um, I have a problem with just the ability to be able to pick up a book and read it.
Yeah.
It's utterly incomprehensible. It's utterly incomprehensible. There's no editors anymore. They're like, oh, people aren't even reading these things anymore. They're getting the covers. Who cares? Put it out there. Tell me if I'm wrong, you guys. I admit I am not the target audience anymore.
Mhm.
But man, it makes me. It's like music. It makes me feel bad for the kids of today.
No, I could see, not holding people's hands, for titles or maybe a limited series, but not for the main Spider-Man, or, it's
It's
like,
not. That's the thing. It's not the main Spider-Man title.
it's not?
No, that's at least I'm assuming it's not. I think this is how bad it is, okay? That we even have to have this discussion. Amazing Spider-Man is the main Spider-Man title. That's
Okay.
got your Peter Parker, your Doc Ock, your villains, all that stuff. Uh, does he even have a supporting cast anymore? I was going to say, J. Jonah Jameson and Robbie Robertson, but who knows if the Daily Bugle even exists anymore.
Mhm.
Um, this is a title called Spider-Man, adjectiveless Spider-Man.
Okay. Not spectacular,
Not
just
just
Spider.
adjectiveless Spider-Man. And I'm assuming this just has nothing to do with anything except for every other issue we're going to introduce Spider Ant, Spider Roach. Hey, that would be Dave Sim, wouldn't
Yes,
it?
it would.
Spider,
Yeah, Wolveroach you're thinking of.
yeah. Spider. No, there was Moon Roach, and it was always a roach, so it'd
Mhm.
be Spider Roach. The flaming spider. So I don't know. The fact that we even have to discuss what this book even
Uh,
is telling.
yeah, and, Marvel and their, they like they like number ones, so they will change the issue number back to number one, and you'll lose complete continuity. I don't know how many Spider number ones there have been in the past couple of years, but it's got to be at least a dozen.
Yeah, I was bewildered. I mean, we had an episode a couple months ago where I tried to read an issue of Captain America, and I had a thumbnail which was, a little tongue in cheek of me tossing it in the garbage bin. Uh, this book, I wouldn't even give it the pleasure of going in the garbage bin. I just shrug my shoulders, put it in a bag, and sell it the next live sale. Bye. You want to pay 65 for this? Go for it.
Yeah, I know. I have to admit, I was not even aware of this issue. This Spider-Man is not something I'm reading right now, so that's really sad. And you do want, when we were back in the day, you could pick up a comic book and start reading it from, issue number 200. You could at least within an issue or two be able to be familiar enough with the storyline, um, to be able to continue from that point. And you had to. You couldn't count on people just continuing to read the book, the entire way. You had to pick up new readers through the process, and the only way you could get new readers is to have them follow the story.
You know what? Let me be fair here. Let me see if there's actually a recap. Through the magic of editing, I'll be right back. Bam! There we are. Okay, that was cool, huh? Uh, to be fair, it on the cover it says "End of the Spider Verse Part 7." Okay, first of all, it's a 7-part story, and
Mhm.
oh, okay. To be fair, there is a recap page. The first page is a little recap page. So let's discover together what this title is supposed to be as I put my cheaters on. All right. Peter and his spider allies are fighting for their lives against the ancient wasp totem Sharthra in her quest to dominate the web of life and destiny. Shathra is subsuming spiders from across the Spider-Verse into her great nest. One sting from Shathra's wasps makes a person part of her hive. Shathra's forces also possess the Totem Dagger, capable of erasing them from reality, a fate suffered by Spider-Woman and Peter. Spider-Man's severance from the web yielded an alternate reality in history that replaced the original. Although Spidey was erased from the timeline, Peter Parker was not. Instead, Peter was never bitten by a radioactive spider. He worked as Silk's right-hand man and even saved his Uncle Ben from a violent robber. Unchallenged, Shathra has begun remolding the multiverse into a single hive under her control. During a botched infiltration of Shathra's lair, Silk, not Peter, was revealed to be the chosen one and used the stolen totem dagger on the inheritor Morlun and caused an enormous explosion of energy. That's where we pick up with this issue.
Oh my god.
I,
What happened to the
I take it all back. I take it all back. It's great.
what happened to Peter Parker, the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? Uh, this transcends cosmic Spider-Man. This goes to, boy.
Richard, I hear you. If my thing is, if this was selling 300,000 copies a month, I would shut my mouth. I'd keep my mouth shut and just sit back and say, "Hey, they know what they're doing. It's moving units, but it's not. It's nowhere near that." And it just is a watering down of a concept. And
Oh, it is the whole totem thing, and
remember when we were kids, we used to make fun of the DC universe because they had Spider Boy, or sorry, Superboy, Supergirl, Crypto the Super Dog, Comet the Super Horse, Streaky the Super Cat.
I don't know if it's us and our our curmudgery,
It is.
um, but is this readers? I mean, listeners, let us know. Do you follow the storyline? Is this a book that excites you? Because if it is, I'd really like to understand more about what drives newer readers because this is not driving me.
I'd like to know if you like this, why you think it's a Spider Man title. I mean, granted, it says Spider Man right in the logo, but it's not Spider Man. It's no Spider Man I know.
Yeah.
Ah, it's selling well.
Okay. Let's.
Second print.
Yeah. We'll see. Is it the last issue of this?
Who knows? No, I don't think. Well, let me look. I'm sure there's going to be a part 8.
Mhm.
No, it's going to be here's next issue, part 8.
Okay.
And another thing, just completely tangentially related. Um, I see the digital stickers are back.
Oh,
They
okay.
were gone for a while, and now right opposite the premiere of Spider Boy. The
I'm not a
costume's awful too. Sorry.
It's awful. No, I'm not a big fan of those digital stickers. Um, Regardless of the bane of every presser in the world, but just in general, I think it's a bad idea.
What is the redemption rate on them? They've got to be doing okay for them to spend that extra money on the sticker because, just from my past life in the music industry, we used to have digital download cards that we would include with our vinyl. So people could download the MP3. The redemption rate on those was less than 1%. So we stopped doing it and no one complained.
Can't be high. I mean, a number of people buy books, bag them, and board them, and then never read them. And the people who are collectors probably won't pull those out to. So you're looking at who?
The casual reader that's picking up End of Spider Verse Part 7 off
Right.
the newsstand.
Yeah, I just don't see. I mean, we're not Marvel, obviously, so we don't have the numbers, but it doesn't make any sense to me why they brought them back.
I don't think anybody has the numbers anymore. They're not releasing a lot of data anymore, not even publishing data. So hey, maybe this is doing 300,000 units and we just don't know. Okay, that's only one of the hot books of the week this week. And we're already 15 minutes into this sucker. Richard, you take the next one away. This one's a little more in our wheelhouse, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement because the Ahsoka trailer dropped this week. And if you have not seen it, pause this video. I'll give you the opportunity to go type Ahsoka into the YouTube browser and pull it up, watch it. It's like a minute and 60 seconds or 50 seconds. It is everything I wanted to see from the Ahsoka series in that short trailer. You got Ahsoka just being a complete badass as she was in both the Mandalorian and Boba Fett shows, and she is joined by another Mandalorian. We've got other characters from the Star Wars Rebels TV show. It was an animated show that came out shortly after the Clone Wars TV show, and it features some important characters that we're going to see in the Ahsoka show, such as Grand Admiral Thrawn, who is going to be the big baddie for the Ahsoka show, and hopefully some more of the Star Wars movies that are going to be coming out here shortly. It's going to feature characters such as Ezra Bridger and Sabine Wren, who is another Mandalorian that is featured in the Rebels TV show. And if you haven't watched Rebels, I won't tell you to break now because it's a number of years worth of shows to watch or episodes to watch. But it's a great show. If you're a Star Wars fan, you deserve to watch it. If you are a fan of any of the Star Wars animated shows, it's a great intro to that. So the Clone Wars, the Ahsoka trailer featured prominently Ahsoka. Ahsoka Tano's first appearance is in Clone Wars #1. There is a newsstand edition of this book, which is probably one of the more rare books. There's
Wow.
also a special edition, which is limited to 1,000 copies. You know the special edition because it has a purple cover. And of course, there's the direct book. It's This book has seen some ups and downs in pricing over the years as the show has waxed and waned in the general public's knowledge. I think the trailer though has really put a fire under anything Ahsoka related and Star Wars Rebel related. So I think we're going to see some firming up on the price of this book. I don't think we're going to see a huge spike because that's just not the market right now. But we will see a rise in price for this particular book. um, I'm also thinking Clone Wars #2. If you're looking to buy a book that is less expensive than Clone Wars #1, #2 is a second appearance of Ahsoka Tano in the series. It's much more affordable. The issue #1, the 9.8, the direct is $2,000 is the last sale for that book. In contrast, the newsstand is $7,500 for the last sale, which was back in July of this year. So there's a big price difference. Oh, and the special edition, the last sale on that back in January of this year was $7,200.
Jeez.
Yeah, really expensive book. Now again, that special edition was limited to 1,000 issues. So and at the time, it wasn't really. I mean, it was an important book, but I don't think people didn't have the realization for this particular series that it was going to be as important. And
Was that special edition? Was that 10K at one time?
I don't the peak of it. Yeah, it hit
Yeah,
$9,400. Yeah, for that
I
book.
remember that. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow. That's the purpley cover.
right, right.
Okay.
The cover is actually done by Dave Fellini, I believe, did the cover.
Wow. Do you
Um,
do you have one?
I had one. I had a 9.6 that I bought from our friend at Comics Are Go, Eric. And at the time I got it, he had two 9.4s, a 9.6, and a 9.8. And I bought the 9.6 from him at about the market price. The 9.8 at the time was going for around 3,800, and I couldn't pry it from his hands. I
Right.
tried several times, but he wasn't willing to let it go. And it plays out well for him that he didn't. But yeah, I sold that unfortunately to fund some other purchase.
Your kitchen.
Yeah, yeah. I'm eating off of it instead of having it on the wall.
Delicious. All right, time for your favorite topic and mine and everyone else's. It's viewer mail.
You've got
Our
mail.
first piece of viewer mail comes from the reasonably named Senor Reasonable, or would it be pronounced Senor Raisonnable? Guys, heard about this? CGC creates new custom label for Fantast Collection comics. The first book with the Fantast Collection label that will be offered in an auction is a Batman #1 graded CGC 8.0. This book originated in a collection of more than 300,000 comic books that were collected by a Michigan attorney, Dale Watts. The Fantast Collection is the focus of an upcoming documentary film, Selling Superman, by filmmaker Adam Schomer. Yes, we have heard about this collection in a roundabout way. First of all, if you have not heard this story, it's kind of thrilling, sad, every emotion. It's going to be a great documentary. This Dale Watts apparently was autistic in some way. collected comics, had them all around the house. His son was not allowed to touch the comics. Can't say I blame him. Um, don't touch my comics, kid. What do you think these are? For you? Uh, and when he it ended up causing his family to break up. The wife divorced him because she couldn't take the clutter anymore. Is it there? It's definitely, the trailer is really intriguing. If you want to see it, I'm going to drop a link to the Kickstarter in the comments below. We have nothing to do with it. We're not helping fund it. Weren't approached. Um, but it just seems interesting. Now, as far as where we've heard of this before, during California Comic Con, Richard and I were buying a bunch of books, and I was texting my friend Forrest, our mutual friend Forrest, DD Comics fan, representing today, wearing a shirt, not his shirt, a shirt, a Daredevil shirt for the people on the podcast. And I texted him. I said, "Hey, do you need this issue of Daredevil?" And he said, "Yes, it's high grade. I don't have it in high grade." And I bought it for him. And when I got back to the house with Richard here, we both saw that there was a weird certificate of authenticity on the back from the Fantast collection. And Richard and I both scoffed and went, "Whatever. Somebody made up their own stupid pedigree." And we just like completely dismissed it. We gave it to Forrest with the book, and then we come to find out, oh, this is actually something. We bought the book from Harley E. I guess Harley got permission to sell some of the non-huge grails from this.
I'm wondering, I do you think if he submits that document along with the book to CGC that he'd get the pedigree out of it?
That is a great question because you've got the document, but CGC could conceivably say, well, you could have swapped any book out for that just in order to get the pedigree label. So I'm going to lean on the side of probably not. And they do have a few precedents to deny you the pedigree label in those kind of cases, because anybody could put any book with this. The certificate may be authentic, but how do you know it was the Daredevil book that was in
Right.
this collection?
See, them doing things like the clear plastic bad bad idea books
Yeah.
kind of reduces my opinion of their grading practices. If they'll let things like that go, why won't they let Forrest get his pedigree on his book?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to be indignant and dismissive of other people's stuff when you're slabbing clear plastic acetate,
Right.
guys. So yeah, I hear you there, but it is what it is, I suppose. What is your first piece of viewer mail?
I got a piece of viewer mail from this guy, John Huhes,
I
I
believe
think.
it's pronounced Hughes
Oh, okay. John Hughes.
or
Uh,
Hughes.
Hugheads. Hi, guys. I love the show. Uh,
Great taste.
he has got great taste. This question is for Richard. As someone who hasn't seen a Star Wars movie or TV show since The Empire Strikes Back, that is criminal, I'm a little lost when it comes to identifying all those key appearances for characters. Can you give us a quick rundown of the top 5 Star Wars keys to look out for? Maybe one's a little under the radar. Again, you guys are the best, and you both are looking quite dashing for your ages. Well, thank you, Mr. Hughes. I
He's
appreciate
such an elegant writer. Whoever else is, thank you, John Hughes. You're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hope to hear from you again. Um,
Look at, by the way, look at my avatar in my Gmail. Look at how young I am. I have not changed that avatar since I first opened that Gmail account about 20 years ago.
yeah, I'm sure you will never change it.
I know.
Okay, well, I picked some. I picked 5 books. These are 5 important Star Wars books, I think. The first one being Star Wars #1, the OG book, um, from '77. You can't beat that book. A 9.8 is going for almost 5,000 right now, which is just unbelievable. I remember that when that book was really inexpensive. But as a Star Wars collector, I think that's #1. Number two, I would say Clone Wars #1. It's a big book, especially with Ahsoka being prominent now in the new Star Wars universe. It's a great book to pick up. The ship may have sailed on cheap versions or cheap issues of it, but you can hold out. Star Wars: Heir to the Empire, number one. It's the first Thrawn, first Mara Jade too, and we'll talk about that. Mara Jade being Luke Skywalker's wife. Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic number nine, which is the first Revan, who is a important character in, outside of the current Star Wars characters. The Star Walker saga. And Revan is an important character there. Darth Vader, number three, his first Dr. Aphra. I still think Dr. Aphra is an up and coming character in the Disney Marvel universe. She's such a great character. Think of Indiana Jones with no morals. That's pretty much Dr. Aphra. So yeah, I'm going to put her up there. So that's the top five that I would keep an eye out for. The last one is going to be a hard one to come by. It's the Disney Imagineering Star Wars Galaxy Edge comic. It was given out to Imagineers who worked on the Star Wars theme park. There were 1,000 copies given out. People didn't take care of this. It was one of those gifts that are given out, tchotchke given out when for these people. There are few that show up on eBay, and when they show up, they go for over $1,000, $1,500. Somebody has a 9.8 that they have for 20,000. I would not pay 20,000 for this book, but it's a hard book to come by. If you're a Star Wars completionist, you're going to want to get this book because, to me, it is one of those important books in the overall collection. So that's my 5+1.
What do you think about High Republic? I've seen a lot of people posting about High Republic this week.
I I've tried to warm up to High Republic. There's some good stories in that series, but I don't know. I just have not warmed up to it in general.
I've seen number one and two, I think, have taken off this week in value because they're first appearances of, I don't know, Kahuna Lidi. And I'm going to make up names.
Uh, that, that's
Uh,
that's part of my problem. There are a lot of first appearances in that run,
mhm.
and sometimes you feel their first appearances just so they can say their first appearances. They don't have any significance to the story.
Okay.
And that concerns me because it cheapens the moniker of first appearance when there's every issue of your book has a first appearance. It's I don't think it's a good practice, and Star Wars High Republic, they kind of abused it.
I asked because I'm sitting on a stack of them. I want to get rid of
People
them.
like them. I mean, don't go by solely by mine because I know a lot of people are a fan of the series.
Mhm.
Star Wars Adventures is another series that people are popular. I am a big OG Star Wars fan of the original characters of the Skywalker saga. I think there's still stories to tell around those characters, around Darth Vader and Luke and um, I would
Yeah,
like to continue that. Again, that's the old fogey in me.
but you got to tell them quick. They're all dropping like flies.
But given artificial intelligence and our ability to generate artificial characters from existing footage, it
Mhm.
could be around for quite some time.
There was another book. I wish I had written it down. I saw it this week. I think it's either just now out or it's up for pre-order now, and it features Jackson the rabbit, and I got really excited. He's like, it's a whole issue of comic about Jackson,
Yeah, that's awesome.
the
That's
green
awesome.
bunny rabbit that George Lucas hated. Final revenge for Roy Thomas, I suppose.
Yeah, he's prominent on. I can't remember the issue number. He's prominent on a Darth Vader. I think it's Darth Vader number one. There is a rare variant cover with him fighting Darth Vader in that famous scene with Luke and Vader fighting in the Death Star. And that book goes for $10,000 if you can find a copy of
That story was a takeoff of what movie? The Magnificent Seven, I
it. Mhm.
think. And they fight one of the pirates. The villain in the piece is named Sergio Aragones, and he's drawn to look like Sergio. So
Oh,
is it?
awesome.
Does Lucasfilm hold the trademark to Sergio Aragonés? I
That
hope not.
I hope not too.
My first piece of viewer mail, actually, it's my second piece because I'm not keeping count. It comes from Mark Wild. I just happened to be watching and listening to an episode last month when you mentioned your new acquisition, Lidsville. I didn't think anything of it until the next day when I went to an antique store out in West Texas. And guess what I found? That same book, albeit not in the greatest shape, but still, how random is that? An obscure book from the 70s featured on your show now appears in the West Texas desert. It wasn't me. I've never been to West Texas. And just by chance, does your copy have a Mark Jeweler ad on the inside front cover? That's the first time I've seen that where it wasn't a centerfold.
Wow.
Thanks again for the content and always expect the unexpected. Mark, I just so happen to have my Lidsville #1 right here.
Oh, yeah?
Let's look together, shall we? Because I haven't looked. I saved it for the show. So we will be surprised together or not. Let's find out. By the way, always use painter's tape.
Yes. Do not use and don't use the resealable bags either. I've given up on those too.
There is a Mark Jewelers ad on the inside front cover. Now,
Interesting.
doesn't surprise me. They advertise pretty heavily in comics, period. But the collectability about it comes from that slick insert that was done for military bases only. So thanks, Mark. I didn't even think to look for something like that. And congratulations on your Lidsville #1. You are now in the secret club. I'll teach you the handshake later.
Gotta love those 70s comics. That's great.
Lidsville is the kookiest. Go ahead.
Okay, my next piece is from Brightology. Uh, hey guys, great as usual. I bought the comic clear bags and boards, and while I like the clear boards quite a bit, the Silver Age boards were much too tight for the Silver Age bags, unfortunately. And for your information, a quick aside, Brightology, which is his name, is pronounced like psychology. I hope to catch you guys at a show here in North Carolina someday. Yeah, thanks, Brightology. And thank you for telling us how to correctly pronounce your name too. We appreciate that. I have not noticed. I bought the Silver Age boards. They were talking about the clear plastic backing boards. Um, I haven't had a problem with the Silver Age bags. They are snug. I could say that. I don't think I would put any, like a 100 pager in there because of how smug they are, or any square back. But for just like a Fantastic Four, it fits in there. But yeah, I definitely do think it's a snugger fit. You might want to try, and I haven't tried maybe Golden Age bags to see how they work with them. Maybe it gives it a little bit more room within the bag. But yeah, it is kind of tight, but it's cool. And I go for the cool factor for those. If I'm looking for archival protection, sorry, I'm still going to go with the full back and put the comic in with the full back because this is a sturdier backing solution. And I think it's better for the long term protection for the book than the plastic.
I wish I could remember the name of the retailer in Washington State that was down at WonderCon that had all of his books in those Comic Clear
Oh,
back
okay.
boards. I'm all for it if you're a retailer because then you don't I don't have to ask you to take the book out of the
Right.
bag and possibly damage it. That's where I got my Dark Shadows. It was in one of those bags. My Yellow Claw #3 or #4. I can't remember which one I was missing and that I have now. I probably have multiples. But I can look right through and bet the back and see the back cover. So I did like those.
Absolutely.
Dealers, if you want to make a little investment in the long term to help you sell your books faster, that might not be a bad idea.
No, I think it's a great idea for dillers because, like you say, you can show the front and the back of the comic without having to take it out of the bag. So I think it's a
100%.
win-win. Mhm.
My next piece of viewer mail is from Louise Mendoza. Hi, John. I just wanted to ask you your opinion on a possible purchase of a raw Yellow Claw #1. Oh, it was brought to me from a coworker. My best guess on condition of the book would be a zero point 0.5 grade. The cover is still attached, has a piece of the cover missing on the front bottom right, and looks like someone ripped out a coupon that was on the inside of that cover.
Wow.
Any input would be much appreciated. Thank you. P.S. Love the show. Always enjoy watching Richard and you. Thank you,
Well, thank
Luis.
you. Thank you so much.
Um, let me start off by saying Yellow Claw number one, always a good purchase, no matter what. It can be a rag, and if it's priced right, it's worth getting. So that's what it comes down to, Louise, is what's the price?
Mm.
What are you being asked for here? If it's complete and the cover's attached and you've got a couple chunks out, point 0.5 sounds like you're absolutely spot on. You're not going to get a 1.0, you're not going to get a 1.8. So you have to be comfortable with the price. A point 0.5, I would probably not pay more than $150 for that. I think that's on the high end. So let us know. I'm curious. I want to know how many copies of Yellow Claw number one are floating around out there.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you would price it at 150.
I would buy it for 150.
Ah, okay.
Let me put it that way.
Good, good clarification. Good
Yes.
clarification.
What
Uh,
would I pay it for? That's a good question.
mhm.
You know what? Let's do a live GPA lookup right now. There's not going to be a lot we can learn from GPA because
Probably
this
not a
book,
lot of sales.
yeah, the book doesn't sell or trade hands that often. So number one, I happen to have it saved in my favorites. Uh, a point 0.5 sold in February 2020 for $56.
Really?
Yes, that was 3 years ago. A 1.8 sold in January of last year. Nope, sorry, January of this year for $400. So you're looking at a range there. I would be more on the $56 range, but that was 3 years ago. And it may not be as attractive looking. It depends on how it looks, in
Yeah,
the back,
I've seen 1.5s that are gorgeous, because the image is on the back of the book. So,
right?
yeah, if it's a good looking book, then, that should factor into it as well.
My Captain America Comics 10 that I got this year is a 1.5. It's complete,
Yeah, it's
you know,
gorgeous. Yeah,
it's gorgeous. Just the spine's completely split and it's got some slightly brittle pages. So it is what it is. Luis, let us know how it goes. We're totally curious.
absolutely. My next piece of viewer mail is more about the backing boards. It's from Holden Humphreys. My understanding is that in addition to providing support to the comic, backing boards absorb some of the gases released by the comic over time as it ages. The clear backing boards are attractive, but I assume they would not have that second benefit. If this is correct, then the clear backing boards, while great for displaying books for sale, would not be a good choice for long term storage. Do I have that right? I agree with you. It's the same reason why CGC puts in micro chamber paper in between the covers of the book. It's something to absorb the gases that the paper, as it ages and acids affect it, will produce. Those gases get absorbed into the fibers of the paper and the fibers of the backing board. So yes, I think that if you're talking archival storage, that is correct. If you're talking short-term storage, if you want to display your books, like I have books up on the wall all the time, um, or if you're selling the books that we talked about, then I think the clear backing boards are good. They have been proven, or we have confirmed that they are acid free, which means they won't affect the book in any way. I just don't think that they would absorb those gases in the same way that a full back or a paper backing board would.
All this talk about gas. I want El Torito tonight. I'm going to order some El Torito. My last piece of viewer mail is from longtime friend of the show, Lee Niren, who writes, "It's much better having the two of you together," referring to us being in Cleveland last week's show. "While Zoom works well during the pandemic, happy the two of you play off each other. It's clearly better this way. Also, Richard does have a heck of a lot more talking, being John can be overwhelming."
I let
Hold on.
I let John talk. I John has a lot to say. He knows a lot. He knows a whole lot more than I do on certain subjects. So let John go.
Hold on a second, Richard. Let me interrupt you there.
But I have to say, we have a great time when John's in town. We get together and we make an event of it. We'll go to dinner and we'll hang out with friends, and then we'll do the show. And this time we also did a live show after we recorded the show. So it was a whole thing, and it was a lot of fun. And I look forward to him coming into town every time.
Lee, um, I edit this podcast. So you're not seeing a lot. And that's not a rip on Richard or myself. That's just, sometimes I got to cut out the stumbles sometimes, and me as well. Sometimes I got to cut out this stuff that where I can't think of what to say. So a lot of it honestly is in the editing, and I do honestly make a concerted effort to let people finish their thoughts and complete things. Even if I know what they're going to say, I don't do that horrible thing where I interrupt them and finish their sentence for them. I really try to be cognizant of doing that. However, this is two guys who have known each other for 30 plus years that have a rapport, and that, Richard, do you feel I cut you off?
No, no, not at all.
Okay. Because if you ever do, you can tell me. You can tell me.
Yeah, no, we do have a rapport. We have we have a lot of um unspoken language, I guess you could say, and we kind of understand what each other is saying sometimes even when we don't say it. And so, you
We
know,
have a shorthand.
yeah, we sure do. And no, I never feel like, this is I've ever been shortchanged in the conversation.
Richard can finish my sandwiches.
Sandwiches.
What's your last piece of your mail?
Oh, my last piece is from Suddenly Comics. Great call, Richard, on those Fantastic Four Doom covers. I've noticed them gradually rising too. Last show, we talked about a number of Silver Age Fantastic Four covers in the 80s and the 60s of the Fantastic Four run. For a long, long time, those books have been $25, $30 books, but they're gorgeous covers. The colors are awesome and amazing. Um, just great Jack Kirby covers featuring Doctor Doom and the Fantastic Four. And I've made a concerted effort of picking those up when I could, because they have been traditionally been expensive. But recently, I've seen a trend where the price has gone up. Those $25 books now are $50, $60. And I don't think that's going to be a trend that reverses. So if you come across any Fantastic Four books in anything under 90, let's say, and it's got a great Doom cover on it, pick it up, especially if it's a reasonable price, because those books are going to become more and more valuable as we get later into the MCU cycle, and we start seeing Doctor Doom and the Fantastic Four showing up on the big screen.
I got very lucky with my Fantastic Four run because, I grew up reading mostly Marvel comics, Marvel's greatest comics, the Fantastic Four Lee Kirby reprints in the
Mhm.
70s.
Yeah.
I preferred that to the regular book at the time. And so I really wanted a nice run of Lee and Kirby FFs. And so I started picking them up 25 years ago. Hey, it's the 25-year rule.
Wow.
Huh?
Okay.
No?
Now that
No?
was okay.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
okay. It was
True,
it was contrived, but okay.
true story. You picked the 25-year rule book for today. Remind everybody what the 25-year rule is first.
25 years is the time it takes from something to go from yesterday's trash to today's piece of historic. Um,
Trash.
no, well, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Slightly more expensive garbage.
Nostalgia kicks in, and those what was yesterday's trash now becomes today's treasures. So it's been proven that 25 years is the benchmark that we use to determine if something is nostalgically.
I need to see this scientific study that was conducted.
It was done by a room full of monkeys, and eventually we will publish it.
Got it.
Okay.
What is the 25-year rule book for this week?
Fathom #1 by Image Comics.
Oh, no.
Written and penciled by Michael Turner. Now, by your reaction to this, you have a story about this book.
I, are they made of rubber? These women, their bodies have nothing to do with reality.
Are you going to post this image that
Of course I am. Take a look at this. What?
for those of you who are listening, it's a picture of a woman wearing a swimsuit, and her legs are probably 10 feet long.
They are literally 2/3 of her body height are her
Yes.
legs, literally. Rob Liefeld saw this and went, "Whatever." Um,
There's
and
feet there though.
yeah, but look at she's standing like a Barbie doll. Well, when you take the Barbie heels off and then her feet are still look like they're wearing heels. Is she levitating? What's going on here? I don't understand.
Our mutual friend Evan, when I showed him this, said, this is this indicative of '90s character drawing, and it's kind of true. A lot of characters in the '90s had this same kind of body deformation, I guess you'd call it.
Go on. What else about this book? Yeah, why do we care?
Oh, it was published from 1998 to 2002 by Image. When Michael Turner was diagnosed with cancer,
Oh,
and
now make me feel bad.
yeah, that's what you get. But
Please.
it went into remission, and he took the book to his own publishing house at Aspen Comics in 2005 and continued the title. And the title ran from all the way from 2005 through 2018 was the last I saw of the book. It had seven different series that ran, and there was a lot of legal battles between Michael Turner and Top Cow, who was the publisher, and eventually he won, and he's like I said, he was publishing the book up until 2018. There was rumors of a movie for this book, a couple different movies actually, that never came to fruition. But it was. I guess it was an exciting because I wasn't reading comics at this time. It was an exciting book for its initial release. Right now, it's not so hot. It goes for about $75 as a 9.8. So if you want a copy of it, it's easy to pick up. There's an issue number 0 put out by Image Wizard and Top Cow that goes for about $105 if you're interested in something a little more rare. But yeah, it's not a hot book, but it's indicative of the '90s comic tastes.
Interesting that there would even be a legal battle between Top Cow and Aspen because it wasn't Image created as like, the bastion for creators' rights and you get to own your own crap and
That was my thought, and that's the reason why the original founders of Image founded the publishing house so that they can have creative control over their own properties.
you become what you despise, I would guess. Uh, I know Aspen is still a concern, an ongoing concern. They set up at shows here in Southern California all the time. There's always an Aspen booth with lots of Mike Turner art, and still very popular artist. Sad, died so young.
Mm.
I mean, that's crazy. But I remember Fathom, a huge book, huge artist.
Yep.
Was he Gen 13 guy?
No, Gen 13 was J. Scott
Scott
Campbell.
Campbell. Eh, it's all a blur. You straight guys. Hey, time for our underrated books of the week. Richard, what the heck? Not a Star Wars book.
The Star Wars book. Yeah, we talked about Star Wars Heir to the Empire #1 when we were talking about Star Wars earlier. This is the first appearance of Grand Emperor Admiral Thrawn, and also the first appearance of Mara Jade, Luke Skywalker's wife. And like I said, there's newsstand as a direct, but always shoot for the newsstand for this book because it is obviously. I shouldn't say obviously. It has a greater value the market has determined. Um, this is Dark Horse book. There are a lot of really good Dark Horse books out there. I think this one is probably one of the I don't want to say underrated because it even though this is underrated books, but um, I don't think it's hit its peak. Let's put it
Hmm.
that way. And so there's room for this book, especially if you buy it, in the near term before we get to August and the Ahsoka show comes out. Um, but yeah, it looks like all signs point to Thrawn being the next Darth Vader type Emperor Palpatine type character in the Star Wars mythos. He's going to be the big bad, and he's going to be the one the protagonists fight against. In this case, it's going to be Ahsoka Tano and potentially some other people fighting against him. Not only that, I think Mara Jade is a great character. We've already seen Luke Skywalker in. He showed up in The Mandalorian, and he showed up in Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett. I could see him, there being a flashback to him and his wife, and if so, this is her first appearance. So right now, it's the book is still affordable. I'm going to call it affordable. The raws are about $120. It used to be a lot less expensive, but it's climbed about that. CGC 9.6 for direct is about $350, and I think that's still a reasonable price. If Thrawn ends up being as important as of a character, I see the value of this book going up. But I think it's just an important book if you're a Star Wars fan, especially the extended Star Wars universe as it used to exist. This is an important book in that set of stories.
We have to give Dark Horse some props for keeping Star Wars alive in comics, because remember, Marvel had canceled Star Wars
Right.
in '86, and there were no Star Wars books for 5 years, until '91 when Dark Horse got the license and picked it up, and they had title after title. It must have done well for them. They must have been really happy with it because you had so many spin-offs.
Star Wars has always been a popular property. There's always been fans of Star Wars. Star Wars, it has an interesting place in world culture. I was going to say American culture, but it exceeds just the United States. Um, and the fact that Marvel dropped the ball and wasn't publishing anything, I think there was a huge audience that when Dark Horse did start to publish extended universe stories, they ate it up. And we've seen Marvel realize that it was an undervalued property, and they started putting out their own books, and they've been very popular as well. We've seen a number of different Marvel titles pop up under the Star Wars moniker. I don't see it ever stopping. I mean, Star Wars is one of those iconic storylines that is just so well written and has been so well received. I think Marvel and Disney are going to ride that cash cow forever.
They've done a great job of making it that. It was not that. Remember, '85, '86. Return of the Jedi's in the rearview mirror 3 or 4 years before that. There was no new Star Wars film on the horizon coming at all.
Right.
The book had dropped in sales so much it was bi-monthly at that point, and the license was probably making the book not profitable anymore. So they probably just pulled the plug, and you know I wonder if Dark Horse got it for a song in '91.
That's a good question. Can you imagine if they did another three movies right after um, the Last Jedi?
I
And
might have seen them. I just remember. Sorry, finish your thought.
no, no, I'm sorry. So they did after the original trilogy, they did 2 years after that another trilogy, and this
Yeah.
kept the series going. Even if they did a movie every 3 years, um, that would have been amazing.
You need that Jackson spinoff. I made him in my viewer mail. I said I have not seen
Or
a Star
actually,
Wars.
Return of the Jedi, not Last Jedi. I got that mixed.
I made a mistake in my viewer mail earlier when I said I had not seen a Star Wars film or TV show since Empire. I saw The Phantom Menace in the theater.
Yeah, that's good.
Now, can you understand why I gave up?
That's a good point. Star Wars is one of those, if you stick with the formula, um, it's almost foolproof. I think they they had some bad directorial um, direction, let's just say, for the original. We're gonna get to a whole Star Wars. I have a whole list of reasons why
I,
the prequels weren't
let me
successful.
just say, there was nothing more thrilling than a 2.5 hour Senate hearing,
Oh,
which is basically what Phantom Menace is.
I was so excited when Phantom Menace was announced because I was a big Star Wars fan, and you know, Return of the Jedi was over. Like you said, there was this desert of Star Wars movies. You had nothing, and all of a sudden we're going to do three more movies, and I was so excited. I get there. and I see the pod race, and it wasn't what I thought the formula that the grand space opera that is Star Wars. That was lacking in the first movie, and frankly, it didn't really get that much better in the rest of the prequels. I just really, really did not. I did not enjoy it. Um, and I think the last set of movies was better, but I still think they haven't really recaptured that same magic that the original three. Now, some of the TV shows I think have been excellent. I think The Mandalorian has been a great show. I really, really have been enjoying The Mandalorian. Bad Batch was a great show. Clone Wars was amazing. The animated show, as was Star Wars Rebels, was an amazing show. There are a lot of success in that extended universe, that they've been building up. They don't call it the extended universe anymore, but that's what it was. Um, there's been misses. There's been misses in there. I was not a big fan of Andor, no matter how much um, critical acclaim it gets. Just never warmed up to it. Wasn't really a big fan of Boba Fett. It was meh for me. It had some interesting characters in it, but for the most part, I wasn't a big fan. And Star Wars, the Solo wasn't that great. But didn't enjoy it. Rogue One wasn't that great. Yeah. So there's been hits and misses in there, as there will be in any property. But I think overall, I think the direction that Star Wars is going in now, with Filoni and forget his other guy's name. Um, anyway, with the direction that they're going, I'm hoping that we're going to continue to see things like The Mandalorian and Ahsoka. That we're going back to that. I love that space opera feel, that great tension between the villain and the protagonist that we have with Luke and Vader. I hope we're going to continue to see that with Ahsoka and Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Let's light a candle for poor Natalie Portman. Moving on to my underrated book of the week. My underrated book of the week is Strange Adventures 180. Do you recognize this copy, Richard?
Yeah, it's the first appearance of Animal Man.
It's also from the Stroller collection at California Comic Con, where I picked it up.
Yes, that's right. I love the Thriller collection.
Go back a few weeks, you guys, when I learn about the Stroller collection. It is the first appearance of Animal Man from 1965, drawn by Carmine Infantino. It's supposed to be a one-shot story in this anthology science fiction title. But much like Hank Pym and Ant-Man a few years earlier for Marvel, high sales on this particular issue made DC sit up and take notice and say, hey, bring back that Animal Man character and throw him in a ugly orange and blue costume and give him a series. Didn't last long, but we were rewarded years later in the late 80s, early 90s with the amazing Animal Man series by Grant Morrison. More recent sales for Strange Tales 180 were for an 8.5 this past January, which went for $1,137, and a 7.0 this month, which sold for $550. That's peanuts for a Silver Age DC debut character, I think. This is really the type of character, especially the Grant Morrison era, where it's perfect for an HBO Max TV series. Buddy Blank and his family try to come to grips with him becoming a superhero again. So Strange Adventures 180, I always pick it up if I see it in affordable shape and condition and price. I can't seem to pass this book by.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'd love to see an HBO animated series. I think would be great.
Oh, that'd be cool too.
Yeah.
And that is going to wrap it up for this week. Richard, remind everybody where they can find us for more thrilling content weekly.
Oh, well, if you're looking for that, you could try Facebook and Instagram, Bronze and Modern Gods, or the website, bronzeandmoderngods.com.
If you like this video, please help us out. The algorithm is changing daily. Subscriptions do not matter anymore. It is now reach and engagement. So hit like, hit subscribe, help us out. Leave a review on your favorite podcast platform, and we will catch you next time.
Everybody, stay safe.